Good morning. It's lovely to be back again, and I've got some really exciting news to share with you. I'm going to just take a few minutes, and then I'm going to hand over to Andrea, who's going to speak again this morning, following on your series. I'm assuming the armor of God with the shield of faith. Love that. Great. So myself and Mark Brown and Johnny, the three of us form the board of trustees or the board of directors for Antrim Coast Vineyard. Just so you know, if you don't know this, you collectively as a church are governed in such a way that you are a public liability, a company with limited company with charitable status. My gosh, it's not in the notes. Stay on the notes, Paul. And so that's how we are structured. And the three of us, we meet together probably 4, 5, 6 times a year to discuss all things finance, employment, buildings, policies, insurance, all the really exciting stuff that you don't need to think too much about. You just need to turn up and be part of the church and be the hands and feet of Jesus here in this community. And just to say briefly, what a joy it was just worshiping this morning with you guys. That was incredible. And it just felt like a real special moment in the aftermath of what has been a very challenging, turbulent week in your community and in many communities across Northern Ireland, as we have witnessed terrible things taking place, and we've seen images and we've heard stories. And as we prayed, the number of us this morning, it just felt really strong. It's like, we are his people. We're the light. And we welcome the stranger. And we wash the hands and the feet. We are the hands and the feet of Jesus. And we wash the feet of others. We welcome and welcome. And where there's been such dishonor in our communities, may we be the people of God that reach up and reach out and extend the hand of welcome. And you as a church community are that. Amongst other churches in this town, you are the light. Jesus calls us to be the light of the world. And I guess my excitement really this morning is just simply to say that we as a church community are stepping out in faith. Andrea Howard in particular is stepping out in faith. We as a board are stepping out in faith, and we're inviting you as Antrim Coast Vineyard people to take a choice to step out in faith. And the step really for Andrea is that she will be leaving her full-time employment that she has worked for many, many years in order to take up a 30-hour-a-week appointment as your lead pastor of Antrim Coast Vineyard. And so she leaves the security of a permanent position to come and to do that here with you, for you, leading you. And we're just so excited for her, for Andy, and for their family as she has made this bold and courageous decision. Why is she doing this, and why are we doing this? That's a really good question. Thank you for asking. Andrea and Andy and the Howards, they left us over 6.5 years ago. To be honest, we were glad to get rid of them. Total joke. And together with Mark and Carol and some others, quickly joined by Rick and Ruth and some others, planted Antrim Coast Vineyard Church. And they came with a vision and with a dream and a passion. And I might quote this wrongly. Andrea will correct me, I have no doubt. But I think they said something along the lines of they were going to make room for another. They were making space for other people. And it so reflected their deep hospitality of welcoming other people. But not just welcoming people, but welcoming people in and around the presence of God. Because it's the presence of God in our lives and through our lives that changes our lives and changes our communities around us. And as time has gone on, God has added to your number. you have responded, and others that aren't here this morning have responded to that invitation. You have responded to that dream and that vision that they started. COVID wasn't a great time, let's be honest. And things are incredibly challenging for you as a church community. But if you were around that time, and if you weren't, just those kind of steps after, as God opened up the opportunity to give you, or for you to pay for the Ledcom building, which many of you will remember and be part of. That was just the next step along the journey that he had for you as a church community, giving you space, giving you capacity to make room for another. And along the way, the Sparrow Center was birthed, and it's an incredible resource to be reaching out, and has touched hundreds and possibly thousands of people in your community and beyond. But God has so much more for you. A lot has changed over the years, but the dream remains the same, and it's on your 2 banners beside you, and it's on your website. And the dream remains the same: to see our extraordinary God transform the life of every heart, home, and headland along our Antrim coastline. We'll take some time to read that again. The dream is to see our God transform the life of every heart, home, and headland along our Antrim coastline. For too long, these guys have knocked their pan in. Firstly, just cause, just for free. Not that they did it with any intention of, because they're going to get paid for it, out of the goodness and the overflow of their hearts. We were delighted that at some point we were able to employ Andrea for 10 hours a week, and more recently for 15 hours a week. But it is time that we really remunerate and honor her commitment to this place and to the wider community. The increase in hours will allow her to focus more attention, be fully attentive to the work of the church and everything that's going on. It will be good for her. It will be good for her soul. And what's good for her soul is good for your church. And it is right and it is proper that you, the people of this church, love, care for, and have a duty of care, not only to her, but to Andy and to their family, as they seek to go before the Lord and lead you into everything that he has for you. It's also good for Lan. You didn't set up camp just to be cozy inside these 4 walls. But like we said at the very beginning, you're his hands and feet. You're the one who bears his name, carries his presence to wherever we go. And so by doing this, frees up, gives more opportunity for the kingdom purposes that God has for you as a community. One of the things that I know Andrea has been really frustrated about personally as a leader has been not being able to get to other kind of vineyard events that we have. I'm privileged enough to go to across to England to vineyard training events, pastors' conferences. I have the opportunity and time to meet others for coffee and receive myself. And as you can appreciate, so much of the role is about giving out. And by doing this as well, it gives that time, it gives that space for her to connect, to receive from others, and to receive from God as she continues to pour herself out. And so it's a step of faith. It's a step of faith for her. It's a step of faith for the board. Although it's a tiny step, if I'm really honest, and I'm going to explain financially why that is so. The additional 30 hours will mean that the monthly expenditure of the church will exceed the monthly income by £500 a month. Say that again just to help us kind of understand. By doing that, the additional monies that average monthly expenditure will be £500 more than what is our average monthly income. And so there's a deficit there, but nonetheless still a good decision, and nonetheless still a good reason for doing it. And partly why it's a tiny step of faith is because as a church within our accounts, and by the way, if you're interested in any of these monies and you want to know anything about the church finances and what's in the bank accounts, please come and ask us. And we are more than happy to talk about that. Mark's probably the best person to talk to be honest. You can always go on Company's House and you can type in Antrim Coast Vineyard. You can see our yearly accounts which get published for the world to see. And so please, I'd encourage you to do that if you're really interested in more of that side of things. It is good practice to set aside 3 months of reserves, 3 months of running cost reserves. And so we have that and then some. And it's that then some additional over the 3 months reserves that we have set aside, that if our average income wasn't to increase now, we've actually can continue to go for 5 years. So we've sufficient reserves to dip into should we need to for the next 5 years, which is why I'm kind of explaining it's not a huge step of faith for the board to make this really important decision. But of course, we don't want to dip into our £500 a month extra. We don't want to dip into the reserves. And so we are therefore asking you and inviting you into a step of faith. Would you consider your income? Would you consider your expenditure? Would you consider your offering to the Lord through the life and the work of Antrim Coast Vineyard? Today, at some point, if you're on Church Suite, you will receive an email and it will contain some more detailed information and ways in which you can give. Today, as you leave here, you will receive a piece of paper and an envelope with very similar information, inviting you to respond next week. Next week, we're going to have a Pledge Sunday. And we are inviting you over these days is to consider your offering to the Lord through the church. And so these are the options, these are the opportunities in which you can respond to that invitation. Firstly, if you are giving on a regular basis to Antrim Coast Vineyard, we are inviting you to increase your regular giving. Many of us will have received an additional pay rise over the last year or two. And we fully appreciate that has been in response to rising costs of living. Equally, you'll appreciate that there are rising costs to running a church. And so if that's you and you have received some pay rise at some point, again, that's a really good opportunity for you to review your income and your expenditure and your offering to the Lord. Can you commit to giving regularly? Perhaps you're a person, you've been part of Antrim Coast Vineyard for some time, and you just haven't gotten around to start giving right now. But you've every intention. You really want to, and you've every intention to, and you'd really like to give regularly in that way. And we would encourage you. This is a pivotal moment in your history as a church and a really great opportunity to start giving. Perhaps you have reserves yourselves, and perhaps you'd like to give a lump sum one-off donation, and that's a third way. Or perhaps you are not in a financial position to give at this time. And that we fully recognize and we fully respect and we fully honor. In no way, shape, or form is what I'm saying in any way coercive. There's not an arm up the back. There's no guilt trip in this whatsoever. But it is right and it is prudent and it is proper that we would fully explain to you, the people, the position or the decision that's being made, the position that we're in as a church, and to give you the opportunity. And so next week, Pledge Sunday, opportunity. Piece of paper will go with you. You'll also have it emailed to you as well. And we would encourage you, go before the Lord, inquire of him, ask of him. What I would encourage you is this, is don't necessarily think, I'm giving more money to pay her wages. That's really unfair. And that's most unfair for her. I mean, how many of our jobs, if I'm really honest, would you be in the room talking about you in that way? And she's going to have to stand up and preach in a minute. And so that's like a really sort of awkwardy kind of thing, I think, for you. And so I'm saying that to try and protect you in that way. I would like you to consider your offering into sowing into the kingdom, If you have joined, if you have had the opportunity to be, that room was made for you, that a seat at the table was for you, and you have been welcomed into this community, you've been loved for and you've been cared for, and you might not be, Jesus yet, but we're moving in towards the Godward direction, the discipleship journey that Jesus is inviting us into, then I'd encourage you to give into that, sow into that. You are when we watch those images on the TV and we're disgraced by them of what's happened, aren't we left feeling frustrated? Aren't we left feeling like angry and annoyed? But then we're fearful. I'll be honest with you, there's been times I've been like, perhaps I should go out into the protests at the roundabout in Carrickfergus and just reason with some folks there. But if I'm really honest with you, I'm too fearful to go do that. But by responding in this way, by offering, we're sowing into our community that we would be a different voice. We would offer an alternative to what is so damaging. So we invite you to give. We invite you to respond in that way. Lastly, what I'd like to say is this, is we can be a bit awkward about money sometimes, and we can be a bit awkward about talking about these things. And so if you'd like to, I'll be around at the end. Mark is, Johnny is. Come talk to us about that. Please don't talk to these guys about the money things. By all means, give them a hug and say, we're really glad for you. We're really behind you. But if it's things about the offering and stuff, please come and talk to us. Thank you so much for listening. You're amazing.
Thank you so much, Paul, for explaining all that. And I want to thank the board for their support of me and their commitment to do their best for and by this church family. And I do want to thank them. Paul's describing as a small step, but it is courage that's needed. And it's been a thought out and prayerful decision to bring it to all of us today. There's a lot of work involved in employment, and I want to thank them and especially thank Mark for all the administration that he does for all of what's involved in employing somebody. There's a lot that goes on in the background, as Paul said. I'm really excited about September. I don't think we said that, but it's going to be from the 1st of September. It's going to take me quite a wee while to adjust. I'm not only leaving my job, I have to retire as a midwife. And I've been doing that for 20 years, so it's quite a lot to set down. If you work within any professional capacity, in midwifery you have to stay on a register. And to stay on a register, you have to fulfill a lot of obligations, hours of work, CPD, reflect, all of that. So I just feel like I've got one foot in one camp and one foot in the other, and this is the time to put both feet into the camp of what I know that the Lord wants me to do and for our church. So there is a lot to set down, but as Paul sort of alluded to, I want to be the healthiest leader that I can be alongside Andy and the team, because I want Antrim Coast Vineyard to be a healthy and thriving church. And for that, we need room, I need space. And this last few years, especially as the church has grown, I've had to say no to so many things. Things where I could help others, or maybe you, but also I've had to say no to things that could help me. And that's been quite difficult. So the time has come to change that, and I'm really excited about it. So thank you for allowing us to share all this morning. One more thing, I haven't told my employer yet, so that's tomorrow and Tuesday and Wednesday. If you know me and my job, I have some different groups of people that I need to tell. So I would so appreciate your discretion just for the next 3 days, and let's just keep it in the room just until then. Thank you so much.